Hello and welcome to DDOCast episode 668, recorded the weekend of February 27th. I'm your host, Patrick. This week's screenshot, Ventovka and his phantom steed recharge under the power of a full moon in the 542nd screenshot of the week. Yeah, that's right. You can get that fancy blue-haired flamey steed in the new raid. It's one of the reward options. It doesn't seem to drop quite as much as the unicorns out of Dryad, but it seems to drop pretty frequently-ish. So, but you can get it. It's here. Congratulations. Everyone go get it. I know it's popular. We like to talk about Dungeons & Dragons online nearly every weekend. You can catch us through Twitch, YouTube, the DDO forums, iTunes, or from our website at DDOCast.com. DDOCast is hosted by Cyber Ears, the awesome podcast hosting network, and shows are usually available within a few days of recording. The next show will probably be next weekend, and you can stay updated by following us on our social media pages or our website, DDOCast.com, with our calendar. On the podcast this week, we got a couple release notes. We had a new update this week. Update 53 dropped on Thursday. So we'll go through the release notes for that. There's also a hot fix on Friday. So we'll jump into the Update 53 release notes. These were, like I said, Thursday, February 24th. Update 53, Hunter and Hunted is the name for the update this time around. Since it's the Wild Hunt, that's a fairly appropriate name. New adventure pack, Hunter and Hunted. Wild Hunt want you to join them as prey. This new adventure pack is free to VIPs and available in the DDO store. Hunter and Hunted includes 2 dungeons and a raid at level 32 on legendary difficulty. The quests are also level 7 on heroic. The NPCs are located in a small public space accessible through the hut from beyond in the harbor. You can actually also get there from the Feywild. There is an NPC next to where the raid giver, the owl, in the northwest-ish corner. And from they'll take you to the court of the Wild Hunt, and there's a person there who will send you back to the Feywild, so you can get back and forth between Woodwood Hall and the new little public area pretty easily. The anniversary event is back to celebrate DDO's 16th year. Get started towards the back of House Fjarland by finding Gnoa Benefor to celebrate 16 years. They are giving away a selection of bound-to-account cosmetic outfits. Once per day, characters can speak to the anniversary djinn outside the anniversary dungeon in House Fjarland to select their choice of red, blue, green, pink, and silver. Each character can pick an outfit once per day. There is no limit to the number of outfits you can choose, other than the once per day per character limit. So if you want a bunch of these, have at it. You can get a bunch. The anniversary djinn will be available for players to acquire these cloaks through December 31st, 2022. So you basically have the rest of the year to grab as many of them as you would like. So have at it. The anniversary event will run through March 20th, 2022. You have a little less than a month for that. New items to barter for this year include masks and capelets to match the free coats. They have also added the following previous anniversary gifts to the anniversary event barter vendor. The Sentient Jewel of the Dragon, the 15th anniversary commemorative cloak, and all of the armors of celebration. Also, the following races and classes from the core D&D's Player's Handbook are now permanently free for everyone in DDO. So Dragonborn, Drow, Gnome, Half-Elf, Half-Orc, Tiefling, and Wood Elf are all free, as well as the classes Druid, Monk, and Warlock. Players who have already purchased these races and classes will receive a greater elixir of discovery for each they own prior to the release of Update 53. Speak with Jubilee, the Discoverer, on the bottom floor of the Eberron Hall of Heroes to get one bound-to-account greater elixir of discovery for each feature you had previously purchased. You can only claim each feature's elixir once in total across all characters and server. These elixirs cannot be claimed on any active hardcore worlds. They also said that they do intend Jubilee to stick around permanently. There may be a time she needs to be set up shop somewhere else in the game world, but she should be available permanently unless something changes, and that change would come with prior warning. Also, VIPs now get daily gold rolls on daily dice for the remainder of 2020 through 11:59 p.m. Eastern on December 31st, 2022. Let's see. Other miscellaneous release notes, a bunch of stuff that we've kind of already talked about. So I'll just kind of skim through some of them. Failing a concentration roll now generates feedback on the avatar. It's kind of nice. When the feat elusive target triggers, it now displays a visual over your character's head to know that it applied. Great. The changes to the pets, the Iron Defender and Wolf pets, have been in. They're in. So their animations were adjusted. They were not. Some were not scaling with attack speed. Now do. Some were missing. That has been connected and corrected. A variety of effects that provide a full heal now work on undead players. Almost all existing enhancements for Artificer and Iron Defenders Wolf Pets are now automatically granted. We talked about that a few weeks ago, so that fixes it in. For Iron Defender pets, the alignment enhancements are not automatically granted, as they are mutually exclusive. You can now talk to any Artificer trainer to select your pet's alignment. The chaotic selection continues to provide the breaker of boxes behavior, which makes it the best behavior. Quite nice to not have to break a bunch of boxes all the time. Let's see. The threat generation and reduction enhancements are not automatically granted. They are mutually exclusive. You can talk to the trainer to select either minus 40%, 0%, or plus 100%. The selection remains until you reincarnate and stack with all the other sources. Bluff and Intimidate active abilities have been removed from the pets for the time being. They do plan on returning them in a future update. The Iron Defender, Wolf, and the Pale Master Skeleton pet now all have a baseline of 100% fortification at all levels, which stacks with feats, enhancements, and gear. Let's see. Eldritch Knight's proficiencies now apply more reliably. Their visuals now change color depending on which spell sword toggle you have turned on. Yay, that's fun. Let's see. Cut the String's death and damage effects now respect their 1 second cooldown. And Cut the String no longer fails if you are targeting someone behind you. Discord melee and ranged skills no longer scale with spell power and melee and ranged power. Oops. Discord range skill now grants its plus 10 spell points when 3 chords are consumed. Greater Shout SLA from Fate Stringer is now considered to be spell level 6. Let's see. Carrion Swarm now has updated visual effects. First Blood no longer kills you if you cast a spell on yourself. That's probably pretty good. Let's see. Warforged are replacing the Drow for the 400 total favor free race. If you previously achieved 400 total favor and unlocked Drow on a server, then Warforged will automatically unlock when you log in with a character on that server that currently has at least 400 total favor and had previously claimed the rank of Drow from Nyx. If you do not have a character with at least 400 favor, earning the 400 favor threshold will unlock it on that server. Pretty basic. 400 favor is not that hard to get. That's really easy. So that shouldn't take you too long. Pretty much any of the expansions are around 250 to 300 favor or so. Let's see. They've fixed for Bloody Footprints on Warforged, Shifter, Tiefling, and Drow in some styles has been put in. You can now barter for Sands of Manectran Wilderness loot from Masai Membe's barter shop in Zawabe's Refuge if you have antique bronze tokens to spare. I believe the turn is around 600. Dripping with Magma now triggers once every 1 second instead of quarter seconds, so it's a little less effective. It's still pretty good, though. Let's see. Hardcore Season 5 vendor was using old logic that assumed the player took their favorite rewards in order, sometimes preventing a player from claiming the Death Follows You reward if they hadn't already claimed the Death Watches You reward. This has now been corrected. Let's see. Certain legacy healing amplification effects tooltips have been modernized. Accommodations for the various Evening Star factions, such as War Wizard, are now bound to account instead of bound to character. And there was much rejoicing. Yay! still sort of okay level 20 gear. Look, if you don't have level 20 gear, you can turn them in, but you probably don't have the tokens anyways, so, you know. Let's see. Alchemical elemental attunement effects now each correctly work on both melee and ranged attacks. Animated armor should no longer heal from negative energy, which is kind of funny. Relevant monsters in the new adventure pack, Hunter and Hunted, have been added to the monster manuals. It's kind of interesting because usually that doesn't happen for a couple weeks until after an update gets put out. So I'm a little surprised that it's been done so quickly. Smaller crabs now play animations when crowd controlled. A new NPC is available in Evening Star near the mailbox. The Ball and Chain in Wayloon. The Blue Water Inn in Ravenloft. Near the entrance from Eberron in the Feywild Wilderness. Outside of the tavern near the fountain in Sharn. In the Snapping Line Inn at Saltmarsh. Randall Lyric sells augments in exchange for local ingredients. The anniversary event. Some changes have been made to the Cordovan and Steel Star fights this year, and some new jokes, in-jokes, and secrets have been scattered throughout. They've also done work on the Kobold Path, including replacing some kobolds with rats, thinning out some spawn numbers, and adjusting some aggro settings. Players should also no longer find themselves needing to run the Kobold Path a second time based on the state of Cheats and Melicia's dialogue. Okay. Meridia, clicking the door in Meridia to the Shroud no longer tries to teleport you to Ritual Sacrifice. Well, if you're trying to get to Ritual Sacrifice, that would be convenient. It is a bit of a hike. Let's see. Into the Deep, they fixed several sections of the dungeon that did not get their proper stat pass in Update 51. Let's see. They fixed an issue with spells that appeared, quote, inside of enemies when they were hard targeted that would cause the target to fail for the enemy. This fixes spells like Holy Smite, Chaos Hammer, Flame Strike, and others that are hard target spells. Lionheart and Reincarnate now properly take the issue Materials Magic Feat. Fire Seeds, Ice Flowers, and Bursts of Glacial Wrath now take appropriate meta magic feats. Blur is back to being a 20% bonus. Meteor Storm has had its Screen Shake and Flash effect reduce. Thank you. There's a few other effects that could use a little toning down on the brightness and flashiness. It can be really hard to see sometimes. Prismatic Strike's Daze is now an actual daze instead of a stun effect. Tensor's Transformation no longer removes Eldritch Knight's shield proficiency upon removal. That's probably helpful. There are 3 new UI options. Show filigree descriptions. The default is on. When active, filigree in items display their descriptions, and when inactive, only the names are shown. Show uncompleted sets. Defaults to on. When active, set bonuses display both set bonuses you have active and bonuses that are inactive. When off, only active set bonuses are displayed. Prevent heal soft target. Default to on. This toggle forces your healing spells to use your hard target or self-target and not your soft target. Several small adjustments have been made to filigree and set bonus displays to make them easier to read. The spell selector window for spells such as teleport now remembers its position. The quest selection UI now spells receive correctly in its tooltips. Neat. The examination window now remembers its position, like that. There's a new button to delete all confirmed mail. Note that this will not function if any mail in your confirmed tab has any attachments. It's interesting because if you use it, it tells you to make sure you unattach things because it'll just delete them. So, a little mixed messaging there. The empty slots field of the sorted inventory panel now matches its background area better. Reincarnation UI no longer tells you that iconic heroes must be level 28. Holy cow. That has been... wow, that's long time coming. Also, Epic Hearts of Wood no longer tell you that you need Karma to Epic Reincarnate. Probably good. They improved the quest system. Our Hallowed quest system reveals an objective when a monster is near a player in an effort to improve game performance. They also had a change that adjusts dungeon event processing for certain objectives in an effort to improve game performance. Game performance does not seem improved. Today, at least, was really bad. Actually, the worst I've seen it in months. So I wonder how well those are doing. known issues. The new dungeons and raid in the new adventure pack Hunter and Hunted do not have their proper experience set yet. The XP for running these quests will increase in the near future. This was not exactly a popular thing to discover. They said that they will be getting this fixed as soon as they can. Ultimately, there was too much else in the anniversary release to hold up for it, but we understand that some folks will want to know what the state of XP is for the quests. The expectation is that the XP will not change much on heroic difficulty, but will be too low in legendary. The understanding is it's not 0, but it's rather the default that is applied prior to the team doing actual adjustments of the XP to the length of the quest, work out optional XP, and do the rest of the work needed. So, typically on Heroic, that number is fairly close to what it ends up being, but Epic and Legendary, it essentially gets almost a multiplier, and that's what we'll be missing. So my question is, why did we get the Monster Manual work done and not that? I mean, I'm assuming that's different people, but it's still a little weird. Update 53 Hotfix 1 was released on Friday, February 25th. Combat, dexterity is now properly applying to reflex saving throws again. Kind of amusing that guy. Yeah. How did you break that? Okay, cool. The cheap shot longbow no longer has a haggle augment in a legacy augment slot. The anniversary event Steel Star now consistently awards a star when defeated. He was broken on about a third of the runs, which was determined when you entered a dungeon. So that was unfortunate, but it is fixed now. The anniversary gen now responds properly when more than one person tries to talk to him at the same time. I imagine that's a common thing, especially early. The XP for the Update 53's new quest has been updated. Hey, look at that. Hunt or be hunted, the raid now awards its proper end rewards. The map can also now be resized. There's a maze in there, so that's really helpful. Thanks. And one damn thing after another, the quest now has its proper rewards in its final chests. Astral Shard turn-ins for 40 and 45 shards no longer have a misspelling. And then there was a little bit of a bug with the new, the free anniversary outfits. And Steelstar kind of chimed in about this. So this has to do with Warforged cosmetic colors, which, if you've been following along, Warforged and colors have not mixed well for a while. So Steelstar wrote in on the forums. Quite a few unique items are still hand painted, and the ones that aren't dyeable, but other pieces are dyeable and pulled from generic dye lists. Very, very early in DDO, someone decided Warforged, and by extension Bladeforge, should use a completely different color set from everyone else, and the values don't match. If you set the item to a value of 5, which would be red on most characters in DDO, put that directly on a Warforged, it's going to pull the same value of 5 from the Warforged list, which is yellow. He says the value isn't actually 5, that's just as an example. The art side systems changes were supposed to unify these systems, but they super didn't, and that's what he's largely been trying to fix. In this case, this is a non-glamour static cosmetic with both a dyed base layer and dyed gear, and the second one may be the issue. He's trying to find another similar example to confirm, but otherwise he's going to be working on an override that says this item should use the non-Warforged gear dye channel even when applied to Warforged. Sounds good. Bonus days, plus 25% heroic and epic XP through February 28th. I do not know why that's through Monday, but cool. Store sales, a whole lot of sales for the anniversary. Heroic and epic auto boxes are back through March 6th. Double bonus points are here through March 6th as well. There's some anniversary sales in the DDO market. Through March 13th, you can get 50% off of Secret of Saltmarsh, 75% off of Fables of the Feywild, and 75% off of Masterminds of Sharn. So if you don't have any of those, good time to buy. Especially Fables of the Feywild or Masterminds of Sharn. Including if you just want to upgrade it. It's still pretty cheap to do that. Still cheaper than if you were to upgrade it normally. So, the normal sales for the week, Hack and Stash, you can get 25% off of Slayer Boosts, Loot Boost, Treasure Hunter Elixirs, and Select Shared Storage through March 3rd. The weekly coupon, a free Party Punch. The coupon code is TOAST216 now through March 3rd. Little pro tip, I turned that in and was going to do some Slayers for being longer than an hour, but I used it during Slayers. I got about 70 party favors, so it was really effective. So if you happen to be going into Slayers and you want a lot of party favors, that's probably a good time to get it. Now, mileage may vary because I think you have to be the one who actually kills it. But lots of mobs to kill, and they're easy to kill, so you can kill a lot of them quickly. Or hey, maybe you don't need the Slayer XP, you just want to get some party favors in a way that doesn't involve the anniversary event. That might be a pretty good way to do it for you. You're probably gonna better bang your buck if you actually run the anniversary. If you get full favors, I think you get 12 per run. So what is that? If you do 6 runs of that, which you should be able to do in an hour, especially if you have some friends, you'll get more than if you're doing that. But hey, if you're gonna go run Slayers anyways, I recommend drinking a party favor. They only cost 25 points too, so they're pretty cheap. All right, let's talk about community news. We had the 458th Chronicle this week. Strim Tom chatted with producer Tulero. So if you want, we talked about this during our show last week to kind of give a synopsis. But if you'd like to listen to the whole thing yourself, you are more than welcome to do that. I'm sure Strim Tom would love the views. The second edition of Teacher Sin's monk-focused Book of Syncletica is now done. So it's a monk guide. You can go find that on their blog. Axel gets the guitar out for Ravenloft, his latest performance on YouTube, playing guitar stuff. The Guild Hall for League. Players looking for guilds are posting regularly in the recruitment section of the forums. Expand your roster by checking that out. Comments. Everyone knows about owlbears, but few know of the unusual combination of the blank. Sure. Unusual combination. I'm not sure if he's fishing for something that actually exists, or is. I mean, Chimera is pretty crazy, and there's various versions of Chimera depending on who you're listening to. But that's kind of a known one. I mean, the sea lion is also kind of a weird. I mean, it's technically a seal, but the ones in the game are pretty not a seal. Let's see. Fansite news. DDOCast gets into the producer's letters. That was our show last week. DDO Players has Dinosaurs and the Plague. Drac is sick again. Hey, Drac, get sick less often. More fun lifestyle. DDO Stream is your first stop to find DDO on Twitch. This week, Brighter Days Ahead shoots at monsters. Zero Smash hangs with the chat, and anything goes with Doug Glendower. Also on Twitch, Overboard Gaming goes lothing around. Voodoo Spice runs the new raid, and Simeku Gorgarian levels, paints, and thinks about items. On YouTube, the Damsels game get into a tavern brawl. Axel speculates about which adventure pack will be made legendary. Canicus Molinarius runs through the producer's letter. Let's see. Oh, don't forget to check out Cordovan's weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream. Usually has some news and QA, so you can check that out. DDOCast news. Should have DDOCast Splat this week. We'll probably be running the new stuff. That's pretty typical for after an update comes out. There's only 2 quests, so we should get through it in pretty easily. I don't know if we'll run the raid. I did post a video of my first run of the raid with some friends. The usual Splat crew, actually. So it was the first time we ran through the raid. You can check that out. The raid doesn't have any flagging. So if you just want to give a quick idea of our first experience with it and see some of the mechanics, you can see us floundering through some of the mechanics. Not like we've run it a bunch of times and have an idea what's going on. So, I haven't run the quest. My hot take on the raid is it's okay. It's probably the least good raid that they've released in a while. and I say it that way to not to say that it's a bad raid. I just don't like it as much as a lot of the other raids. So there you go. We also had some D&D on DDOCast. We did our first session of Tomb of Annihilation recently, so you can check that out on DDOCast on YouTube. Let's see. That'll take us to some lightning posts. We had some folks write in as we were going through the producer's letter. Fuzzy Duck speculated that the iconic for Tabaxi will be Monk. That is certainly a possibility. I had considered it myself, actually. I'd be okay with that. Ninja, he says Ninja Kitty seems probable, especially there's also work done on the Ninja Spy tree. Yeah, maybe. New character build options. Fuzzy's not thinking universal trees so much as adding a couple of new racial variants. It's kind of a fun idea. Talentia Halfling could be a possibility. Instead of being Dragon Mark, they get Dinosaur Companion that function in the same manner as the skeletal minion from Pale Master. I like this idea. That's kind of fun. Talenta Halfling's Shaman could make for a good Druid iconic too. Let's see. Yeah, that's another racial variant. Might be dwarf differentiating between hill and mountain dwarves. Adding Dorgar as the iconic possibility. Either as a sorcerer or warlock. Yeah, Dorgar sorcerer could be interesting for sure. I like the Tabaxi monk idea. That was kind of the one that I gravitated towards the most. But we'll see. More customization options could also mean additional Epic Destiny options. Love that. That'd be great. Maybe even Dragon Mark ones. Might also be abilities that specifically tie in with certain Scion feats for legendary progression. Yeah, possible. Classic Adventure Pack. The main ones that come to mind for Fuzzy are Threnel and Reaver's Refuge. Threnel getting a revamp along the lines of improvements to the Catacombs line, in addition to the top-level versions so they can sort out flagging weirdness, and janky escort quest stuff would be welcome and long overdue change. Yes, absolutely. Please make that not suck as much. Reaver's Refuge would be another nice one to have top level, and Stealers of Souls always felt more like a 6-person raid than a regular quest. It'd be nice to dust off the old Dragon Touch gear. Yeah, I agree. Returning Villain. Fuzzy's speculating Gratz would be a good bet. Also holding out hope for Arboth to discover if they're actually a dragon after all he told so. Why didn't we believe him? It's the Kobold in Ataraxia's Haven. That'd be kind of fun. Let's see. Zentombed said addressing the question about why hardcore might be really popular at the beginning. They like to get on the server the day it opens to reserve certain character names, particularly ones they'd like to bring over to the main server. Yeah, it's a neat trick. You'll have a -1 if someone already has that name on the other character, or -2 or 3 or whatever. But yeah, if you want the name, that's a good way to do it. If you don't mind the dash number. Kirkos wrote in some ideas being kicked around for making VIP more better. No chest ransacking. Here's the thing. I like the idea. I think it's more likely that we will see a smaller time frame, maybe like a 3 days instead of the 7 or 8 days or whatever it is. I don't think we'll ever see no chest ransacking. I think if you have no chest ransacking, that produces bad behavior of people just being in the same spot ad nauseum, which tends to burn people out. And there's a whole bunch of game theory behind that. I think chest ransacking is a good thing, but I totally think that there's an opportunity there to make it a less long time frame. Especially, I think on hardcore, people really like that. It would be really nice. A free server transfer per month. I'm game. Sounds nice. They would need to fix some outstanding issues with that that I'm not going to go into for reasons. Let's see. A free chest reroll per quest. I like the idea. Again, I don't know if we'll see it that often. It's a good idea in terms. I just think, free chest rerolls. Great idea. Let's see how many. Maybe one every couple hours or something like that would be appropriate, I think. Discounted chest rerolls, sure. A lot of find them to be super expensive, but yeah, that's a possibility. Loot bonus for finding named items. Yeah, it seems like an easy one to me to just put like a 5% bonus on people. I understand why they don't necessarily want to do that though, because they don't want to make it. You have to balance here, right? Like you don't want to make. Instead of talking about this, you don't want to make VIP so good that people have to get it. That's kind of the trick here. But a loot bonus, sure, a small loot bonus seems fine. A couple percent. I don't think it's gonna break anything. A Slayer and first time bonus resent token monthly. So first I'd have to make the token, which I think would be super popular. Don't get me wrong. I think that'd be popular. And sure, you could give one to VIPs on some sort of timescale. I like it. Discount on store items and sales. So I actually also think that would be a possibility. I'm not sure how. I think you would have to exclude certain premium items like autos boxes. But I think a discount for buying in some of the other items, I think that makes a lot of sense. It encourages VIPs to be buying items. And as a VIP, you might be spending. I don't know. That might not be true. I was gonna say you might be spending less than a premium person, but maybe not. But I think a discount, like a once per month, just have a. I mean, they've kind of showed this technology already. Put out a code once a month. That's good for the month, and if you're a VIP, that's like 5 or 10% off of a single non-premium item. Great. I think people would like that. This one I really like. A free guest pass option. I think that'd be great. If you're a VIP, maybe once a month, be able to get a guest pass for a pack to bring a friend through so that they see it. I mean, it's kind of a nice little marketing trick. So it sounds like a great idea to me. I hope Talura, you're listening, and that some great ideas there. So. Critical is also saying, really hoping to introduce another set of epic past lives the same time as Tabaxi Race and Iconic. The other crashing tree they mentioned would be most welcome. Yeah. Casting tree, debuffing tree. There's some great options here. But I agree, some more would be great. I love it. All right, that's going to close out the news portion of the show. Stay tuned. We've got part 2 of our debuffing conversation with Speedy coming up here in a second. Thanks for listening to the show. Thanks to all the folks who contribute to DDOCast and make it happen. And thanks to Speedy for joining us a couple weeks ago to record the debuffing episode. Thanks to Standing Some Games, Wizards of the Coast, and the Cyber Ears for hosting the podcast. If you'd like to support the show, you can visit us on Patreon. Or you can find us on go to DDOCast.com on our website. If you have a DDO-themed webpage or you Twitch DDO and you'd like to be featured on our website, you can email us at DDOcast@gmail.com. You can also hit us up at DDOcast.com for our show notes, MP3s, our calendar, previous shows, and other fun stuff, including various adventures in DDO and D&D tabletop. If you have a comment on this episode, a question that you hear us answer, a topic you'd like to hear us discuss, or you just want to say hi, leave a comment, or you can email us at DDOcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at DDOcast for the latest cast updates. So stick around for part 2 of our debuffing conversation with Speedy. Hey, hello, welcome to our discussion on debuffing. I'm your host, Patrick. We have a new guest this week, friend from my guild, Speedy.
Hey, what's up, BJ?
Hey, Speedy, welcome. Glad you could join us today. Okay, so we've talked a lot about some of the different things. We've convinced someone. Someone wants to build a debuffer, but they have no idea how to go about doing it. Let's give them some tips, and then we'll kind of end with a couple high level. Not as in we're not going to go super in depth into them, but some builds that you can look at is to really build a fun debuffer.
Yeah. So like I said before, there's two main debuffers that pop into my mind. A monk or a bard. Um, two weapon fighting. So a monk, you could either build something like 12 favored soul, 5 monk, 3 warlock. So you would get the favored soul, you get spells, you get the was it the blood of Vol enhancement trees for daggers. Daggers are the most common used weapons for my debuffers and any debuffers because it's the most universal weapon. Um, you get the Archon, which stacks on top of the MRR and PRR, which is your Ash and Dust swap. You get all the goodies, all the spells, the defenses of the favorite soul, the HP from the favorite soul. You get the monk lives, which grant you the knock the sky, the Jade Fist, which if you're Vistani, you're able to center yourself, so those attacks apply. Then you have the Warlock, which you go Soul Eater for even more debuffs. Um, the build I'm running right now is the 12 favorite soul, 5 bard, uh, sorry, 13 favorite soul, 5 bard, 2 warlock, which I did more favorite soul levels in that build is just because it's more universal spell power built wise. So on top of it being able to debuff, his consecration heals people as we are damaging a boss or in dungeons. So you get the Archon from Favorite Soul, which is the Dust and Ash swap. You dual wield daggers.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the Bard, which is AoE. So you have the 6% damage bonus, the 6% crit chance for healers, which is very important. You have the universal bonuses. You have Bard songs, which is useful for like tanks that can't reach, intim checks or skill checks in dungeons. Like you just pop a song, super useful. And then the Warlock for the Soul Eater's consume debuff, which is the -10 PRR MRR.
Do you use
So
the
if
aura with Warlock too?
so I only activate it for the +1 reflex because saves. Believe it or not, the build that you have, like debuffers need to be sufficient enough to be able to have high defenses and survivability, as well as saves and skills. It's it's not a challenging class to play because you can just build a pure level 20 monk and have fetters and you're doing just fine because you have Jade Fist and knock. Like you're doing fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's perfect. That's that a party should be just happy with that. If they have fetters and then have someone just rocking out dust like an offhand and just hit a couple times, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, or if you're a caster and you have an ash swap, just swap that just once in a while, and you'll notice a huge difference in gameplay and content, to where you're like, oh man, this is great, this is awesome. Like I've never seen numbers like this. I'm gonna start doing this more often. For debuffer, anybody can be a debuffer, to be honest. You know, me, I I narrowed it down to two builds to get the max effect of debuffing on a single target boss or something that will benefit the party while debuffing. It it just goes hand in hand on what you're running and what you want to do,
Right.
and whether or not you have fun with the build. Like for me, I can't deal with monk. I can't deal with the MRR. Like my build I'm
Yeah,
on
that's
now,
fair.
I
It's
I
true.
could survive. I could survive the new raid that's coming out. I could survive those acid wells, but monk, everyone's like, hey, you better have a high reflex.
Yeah. A couple things I want to kind of drill into: less build, more partly build, but also like play style wise. So one thing that you're kind of mentioning is uh, two weapon fighting, right? You get more attacks, which
Yeah.
allows you to apply things faster.
Oh
You
yeah.
mentioned the so that's just why that's kind of a really good way that would also be true. Say if you were doing a repeater build as a debuffer or
Yeah. So if you
inquisitive, like you're looking for more attacks, more hits, because that allows you to apply more effects. Especially given the recently we had the big changes to how double strike and offhand and stuff works because they're trying to reduce the number of effects. So that hits a debuff build really hard because what you want to do is apply a lot of effects as fast as you can.
Oh yeah, it's give or take because like any build, like I said, any build can be a debuffer whether or not they want to put in the time to make that swap. But with that being said, just make sure you have like a quick draw augment or the quick draw like feat. If you have a free feat, get that because like swapping between things, it is extremely noticeably quicker and it's super useful in those situations where like I remember back when I was running heroic lives like oh man if I just was a second closer I could have done a heal spell and kept this person alive, but instead I didn't have quick draw so the person died.
It also helps with your how fast you get to start resume your attack chain after you use a boost too. If I remember
Oh
rightly,
yeah,
so that,
it's
that does
it's
other things
nice.
too. The other thing I wanted to mention is you talk about doing a swap for your Archon, uh, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're talking about there is you put your debuff weapons on and then summon the Archon, and then when
Yeah,
you
it works.
switch weapons, it still remembers that you cast it with that debuff
Yeah,
weapon
the
set.
same thing that happens with the aura, death auras. So this is a thing that's in the game that I think it applies because it's a kind of like a summon, like your solid fogs, your obscuring mists, your ice storms, your spells, like the application to a damaging or a debuff effect that you create, which I think it's totally fine. It shouldn't be changed because it's intended to do that.
Right.
I don't see anything wrong with that because you're creating an effect around you that is either slowing, damaging, healing you if it's the aura, and it should apply those. If something walks into something that has like, oh, don't stand here, but a mob walks there, you should feel the wrath, you know?
hmm Yeah, that's one of those things that I think a lot of people don't realize they can do, and you can get a lot of investment out of it. If like you mentioned Pale Master, and like the Archon, which we were talking about, if you're gonna cast those, consider switching to a weapon set that's debuff weapons because those hits will then apply those debuffs even when you switch back to your main set.
Yep. But you know, also depends on the situation. If you work it out with your buddies, like, oh, I'm gonna time stop right away. You probably want to like swap to your dust weapon to get the more effect than you know
hmm
the max effect of damage, and then swap to your main weapons. The most common used main weapons is Pain and Suffering from Strahd and Baba. If you don't have the Ravenloft pack, I highly recommend getting it.
Great
The
pack.
I spent when it first came out, I spent hours. I went through every single dungeon. I've been to the Castle Ravenloft. I know that thing front to back. I got lost in there so many times.
May still be
But
their best adventure pack. I mean, it's expansion
oh
pack,
yeah,
best pack. Yeah.
it's great. It's wonderful. But Pain and Suffering, great weapons to have.
Mhm.
I mentioned earlier what they do, and it's just super easy to swap to. You could either mix it up too, like Pain is probably the best one because it gives you fetters and then Deception plus 17 for better attacks, a sneak attack damage. So basically, how the playstyle of a debuffer really applies to that is you don't want to be in the front line so much. Your main objective is to stay alive because if you're dead, it forces other people to pick up like the slack that's missing. Like say if you have like a fighter, like like, oh, he's doing his he's doing his peak performance, doing like 10,000 damage, right? You're like, yeah, get it, go tank, and all of a sudden like you die, and all of a sudden he's doing like 5,000 damage. Like now he's like, oh, now I'm all sad. The mobs are getting me now, and it's just you're kind of playing more like relaxed back play, but as a melee, like you want to focus on the backs of creatures, not the fronts.
Right. I mean, generally good plan for most builds, really, to be honest.
I hope so.
um,
But
yeah. Any destinies you want to kind of recommend?
so I'm super excited about this. So there's the Fate Singer, great tree for deep for like buffs for yourself, and then you get the turn tides at the cap, and then there's Magus, which is time stop. You got Shadow Dancer for the Shadow Lance for the debuff. You got the Divine Crusader, which has a consecration, which is awesome to have because number one, you're attacking what other tank or other DPS are attacking, so you can heal them, benefiting them, while as adding 10% damage to the whole entire party in that circle. So it's super useful. I love being like split up between Fate Singer and Divine Crusader. There's supposed to be a new ED tree that comes out, and I'm super excited about. It's like specifically debuffing. I forgot what it was. Do you know anything about it?
I know they mentioned that they want to have a tree that's kind of more geared towards that playstyle. But I don't think I've heard anything more than that. Like I don't know when it's coming or anything to that effect.
It was something to do with like the warlock packs and whatnot. With like uh,
I think it
man,
was loosely going to be based on like Warlock. Like some of you look at the destinies right now we have, and it, each one is kind of based on a certain class, or at least loosely. Some more so than others. I mean, obviously, Grandmaster of Flowers is very monk heavy.
oh yeah.
Um, but you look at the different ones. There's all kind of like there's always kind of a generally speaking a theme that kind of fits it a class. Yeah, some of those. Unyielding Sentinel is probably the one exception. I mean, it's sort of cleric because I mean it has turning in it, but that's kind of the only thing in it that's really
Yeah.
clericy.
But from my understanding, this new tree that comes out is supposed to be a debuffing tree. So
Yep.
I'm super stoked by it, whether it's, MRR, PRR, AC fortification, melee power or saves. Like, I'm down for it. Like, if I can fit it, I'm going to fit it because, like, any little bit helps,
Yep.
especially like end content that I'm in. Like, it's great.
Uh, so maybe we'll close by are there any tips you have for like play style? Um, like how like, we kind of talked about it a little bit, but anything else you want to say about like how to kind of get the most out of a debuffer,
So,
or maybe
probably
even like how to splash in more debuffing? Maybe you don't want to rebuild your entire character, but you know that as well.
So it kind of reflects on the gear you're using and the enhancements you choose, or the epic destinies you're in. There's a lot of things that like um, I can lose, 10 PRR, but I can pick up this debuff. Well, you gotta like come into like terms of like, is me losing defense going to cause me to die? If the answer is like, well, I can live without, like 10 PRR, that's no problem. I'll pick up this. Like it comes to those situations of like what you want to do with your character. If you want to like, oh, I want to be chunky. I want to have a lot of HP, and so I don't need to worry so much. And then you're like, okay, cool. So I'm gonna build up HP, and then you get to a point where like, oh, is 15 more HP, or I can get this ability that will give me, give other people like +5 damage. Then you're like thinking, contemplating, like, oh, well, I can lose 15 HP and I can pick up 5 more damage. And then it comes to the point where like, oh, cool. So I'm giving this party, up teen amount of damage, but I only lost very little compared to, what I thought I would lose. And then for playstyle, I just very laid back. You have to be very situational aware, because if, say, Lord of Blades is going up for his heavy swing and he swings back or he's doing his spin, you want to be very observant of where you're standing, um, because you're the one, because your debuffs are lingering. So you can back away. If you need to back away, you can back away and it won't affect, the DPS of the party. Like you can take a breather and be like, "Oh, I almost died." Like you don't need to stay there until you die. Like you back away, wait for a heal from, a healer, and then jump right back in and be like, "Yes, I'm back." It's like
Hmm.
that's what's kind of cool about the build. Um, I would say survivability. You want something chunky. I want You don't need to have all the lives in the world. One of my buddies, from CBT, Butch, he's running my debuff build, and he's like, "Wow, all right, like this." He's like, "I don't have those many lives, but like I'm chunky. I'm good." Like if you have great defense and great HP, um, and you have all the necessities of debuffing, whether or not you're uh, a monk doing Jade Fist, knocking the sky with fetters as your main hand wrap DPS, or if you're doing two weapon fighting, pain and suffering and some LGS swaps. Um, it 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 doesn't matter if you have lives. If you have those things, you're gonna have a great time. Your whole entire group's gonna have a good time.
I will mention that if you're looking for advice here to like really help your guild maybe push into harder content, um, and you're debuffing with the idea that you to help the tank survive by taking less damage, be aware that you're probably going to need to get in early and often, to make sure you get the like knock the sky and that kind of stuff in there. Uh, so you may need, you'll have to be really in sync with the tank and make sure that you're paying attention to the which direction the boss is facing, because maybe it might be more important that you need to get in there faster and make sure that that damage is not going to overwhelm the tank.
Oh yeah, the coordination between tank and debuffer is super. Like for the monk debuffer, it's super like you have to constantly have the monster tab up because you got to see what debuffs they have. Because if that knock the sky goes down, then your tank needs to activate all his abilities so he can survive
Yeah.
until you can get those knocks back. Um, and same thing for like picking which targets to debuff, which targets to attack, and where to back off, when to back off, when to step up, when to the coordinations is super useful, for any like guild trying to push. If I have any recommendations, I highly recommend starting off with Shroud. Get those items, get those debuffs, or wait for the new content where they could just be given to you for just doing a quest.
There's also, if you again, we kind of mentioned this before, but if your guild's looking to really kind of push the envelope on what you are able to do in terms of raids and difficulty, um, one of the lower hanging, most often overlooked pieces of fruit to increase your chances of success is debuffing, right? And no one, you don't necessarily need to have like one person go all in on debuffing, but if you have 6 or 7 people, like, okay, I'm bringing fetters, you're bringing dust, you're bringing ash, so on and so forth, like that really amplifies a lot of what your party can do very quickly.
We're talking about minutes here, like straight up minutes. Like I'm talking about, I've seen VODs last 20 minutes. I've seen VODs last 5 minutes. Like it is give or take, like whether or not what you guys want to do, or how you guys want to progress through the raid.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to say about debuffing?
Nah, I just love it, and if I see other people, contributing, that's amazing. I love it. I lo-
Well, thanks, Speedy. Hopefully this gives folks a kind of a good understanding of debuffing and some ways they can do it. Also, we got a couple build ideas. Um, but you can like any build can debuff to some degree. So even if you just want to throw a little bit on, pay attention to some of your weapon sets, or maybe look around your enhancements that you're already on an existing character, that can do a lot for you and a lot for your party. So give it a try. We hope you have some fun doing it. Speedy, is there anything you want to plug before we head out?
just thank you so much for having me, man.
Yeah.
It's just this was great. I love talking about it. You guys can message me on the general Discord, asking about debuff build. I'm more than happy to help anyone that's asking, or if somebody wants my build or wants the monk build or any kind of build, like hey, don't be afraid to shoot me off a message. I'm more than happy to help.
Yeah. Hey, if you'd like to support DDOCast, you can visit our website at DDOCast.com, or you can support us on Patreon. You can also find show notes, past shows, and more on our website. You can also find us on social media and follow us for latest cast updates at DDOCast is the best place on Twitter. If you'd like to join the discussion, leave a comment or email us at DDOCast@gmail.com. So until next time, may all your attack rolls be crits, all your chest level appropriate. Have fun, and don't forget to gather for buffs.